Modern concrete has been with us since the early 1800s. That's when an English mason patented a new type of cement. He named it Portland because it reminded him of the gray rocks found on an English Channel island. We are used to seeing concrete in places like this because of its strength and durability. Architects recognize the design flexibility of concrete and use it in structures treasured for their style. Designers know that concrete will hold any shape for which a mold can be made. Both are using color and texture more frequently to blend concrete with other elements of the structure. Contractors are discovering that decorative concrete equals added profit. What appears here to be expensive slate or tile is in fact concrete, which has been colored and stamped with a texture pattern. The tools and materials used to achieve this look are manufactured by Bond Tool Company. In the minutes to follow, we will show you the Bond way to enhance any traditional masonry so that it makes a dramatic statement and improves property value. This homeowner wanted a patio to complement the traditional federal styling of his home. He also wanted to comfortably enjoy the outdoors in an area that would require little maintenance, yet be sturdy enough to withstand the rigors of a young family. Concrete was the material of choice, and the Bond way was the system of choice. The use of Bond's ashlar-cut stone texture mat gave flair to plain concrete at a substantially lower cost than laying natural stone. And an ordinary backyard became an attractive area for relaxing and entertaining. Here's how. Just as with other concrete projects, consideration must be given to proper slope and loading requirements. Advanced preparation is important with decorative imprinting jobs, so plan the job thoroughly. Also, when texturing concrete, there are additional issues to be taken into account. Consider the size of a single mat when designing the total area to be textured. Also consider the pattern specified. Mats with straight line patterns should be laid out so that the long lines of the pattern run across the line of sight. Doing so will reduce straight line error and provide an overall better appearance. The crew on this job laid out mats in advance of pouring the concrete. By doing so, they were able to determine the best direction for mat placement before texturing began. Generally, patterns run in straight lines even if the design calls for curves. With the design of the patio approved, the forms in place, the surrounding areas protected, and the subgrade prepared, it is time to place the concrete. Follow normal procedures using a conventional concrete mix. A 4-inch slump is recommended. This will minimize the amount of bleed water that will come to the surface, allowing the crew to get onto the concrete faster. Textured concrete has all the basic design characteristics of ordinary concrete and should be placed as specified. On this project, wire mesh is used to reinforce the concrete. Here, a Bond come-along is used to lift the wire mesh as the concrete is spread into the forms. When the concrete is placed, it should be lightly tamped with a tango tamper or a rolling tamper. This will bring the fines to the surface. Next, the surface should be screeded to the specified grade, then floated. This bull float is equipped with a right-height adjustable bracket designed by Bond Tool Company. It enables the finisher to maintain a consistent float angle with ease. Use only wooden or magnesium floats and do not trowel at this point. The concrete must remain open so that it can be colored. The shake-on method with Bond True Color Hardener shown in these instructions is one of the two primary ways to color concrete. The other uses Bond's Ironox Integral method, which colors the entire batch by adding a coloring agent while the concrete is being mixed. Both methods have benefits that depend on the size and use of the textured area. Back to the shake-on method. When the excess bleed water has dispersed, the concrete is ready for the first of 2 applications of Bond True Color Hardener. Keep in mind that the first application should utilize about 2/3 of the total material. Reserve a small amount of material for touch-up and anticipate using the remaining 1/3 for the second color application. Because color hardener settles during shipment, it should be fluffed up before it is broadcast onto the concrete. Simply run your fingers through the material, lifting and turning it over repeatedly, breaking up clumps and resulting in a lighter feel. During the first application of fluffed color hardener, try to evenly cover as much concrete as possible. Do not dribble the hardener onto the concrete surface. The first application should remain on the surface several minutes until it has moistened sufficiently. Then work in the color with a wooden or a magnesium float. Wait approximately 10 minutes, then throw more hardener onto any areas lacking color. Now you are immediately ready for the second color application. Remembering to reserve a small amount of color hardener for touch-up, broadcast the remaining material over the entire area. Let it wet out and then finish with a Fresno or steel trowel. While working in the color, be certain to run the tool all the way to the edge of the forming. Keep the concrete flush to the edge of the slab and not forced below the top of the form. Continually inspect the concrete for areas in need of additional color and work it in at this time. Do not overwork the concrete at this stage. 1 pass with the steel trowel or Fresno should be adequate. Excessive working of the concrete will draw water to the surface and reduce the color's intensity. Likewise, do not sprinkle or fog water onto the surface. As in any typical concrete project, the concrete should be edged and control joints should be added into the slab as specified. The control joints can be included in the forming or cut in after the job is textured. Before texturing begins, it is helpful to establish a reference or guideline to ensure that the pattern runs square or parallel to the adjacent structure. This is advisable when using mats with a straight line pattern, such as the ashlar cut stone used on this project. When the concrete yields to steady pressure, it is ready for texturing. However, before positioning the texture mats, apply an even layer of Bond True Color Release Agent across the area to be textured. Texture mats will not work without the use of the release agent. When selecting a release agent, choose a color that complements the color hardener. Although the release isn't designed to color concrete, some of it will remain on the finished surface, adding depth and enhancing the overall color of the project. Similar to the color hardener, the release agent also settles during shipment. It's very important to fluff up the material, not only when the pail is opened, but throughout the entire application. When texturing, a consistent and adequate layer of release must exist between the concrete and the mats. The material should be thrown onto the concrete in amounts thick enough to prevent damp concrete from bleeding through to the mat, yet thin enough so that the powder does not diminish the mat's detail. Release agent may also be brushed directly onto the mats prior to use. Take care placing the first mat into position. A tamper may be used to press the mat straight down and flush to the concrete. Do not use more force than necessary. Remember, anchoring this first mat into place, along with the established reference line, is critical when using mats with a straight line pattern. Repeat the process, placing the second mat next to the first, and continue with as many mats as are available. In order to minimize later touch-up work, take care that the mats are placed together as tightly as possible until tamped firmly into place. If not placed tightly against each other, double lines may appear, and the pattern will not run true. Once in place, tamp the mats so that they bottom out against the concrete. A consistent amount of force is required, although more force may be needed when further into the pour. The goal is to achieve uniform texture throughout the project and is the responsibility of the person working the tamper. When picking up mats, it is important to break the suction on each mat before it is completely removed. To do so, carefully lift from one side using your thumb and the handle. Continue picking up and placing mats, leapfrogging out in the planned direction. Some patterns are available in more than one design, as is indicated by the variously colored mats on this project. Alternating mats by color minimizes repeat of the pattern and enhances the overall look of the job. In most cases, the shape and dimensions of the area to be textured will not be divisible by the dimensions of a single mat. Thus, some handwork will be required to texture certain areas. Here, the mat is shown overlapping the edge of the form. While imprinting this area, the mat should be supported by hand or by materials on the job site. This will ensure complete texturing. A more flexible floppy mat or wall hugger is used to get into corners up against a wall or around a stationary object. At almost half of the thickness of the regular mats, wall hugger floppies can be manipulated and folded to texture hard-to-reach areas. Bond Tool also makes companion accessory mats to imprint places where neither the texture mat or the floppy will work. Periodically inspect the work for areas requiring a deeper impression. A chisel or jointer may be used to complete the pattern if the mat fails to leave an impression. Usually by the next day, the concrete is set sufficiently to begin the removal of the release agent using a pressure washer. If the job is located close to other structures, consider that dust will be kept to a minimum by first washing the area with a soft broom and low-pressure hose. Take care walking on this fresh surface. At this stage, it is possible to work release into the concrete and damage the finished texture. To provide color contrast and a more natural appearance, some of the release agent should remain on the textured surface. As much as 15 or 20% can be left on the concrete, depending on the desired effect. Varying the distance of the pressure washer nozzle to the textured surface is a technique used to achieve the desired look. When the concrete is thoroughly dry, Boss Gloss, concrete sealer, is applied for enhancement of the color and protection. Boss Gloss is an acrylic-based 30% solid sealer available from Bond Tool Company. Two application methods are commonly used, rolling and spraying. If rolling, apply 2 coats. The first coat should be applied moving the roller east to west, while the second coat goes on moving north and south. Doing so will eliminate roller lines on the surface of the concrete. If spraying, use a commercial-grade sprayer to evenly coat the entire surface. Take care to avoid buildup in corners. Excessive sealer could become sticky in high heat conditions. This is just one example of how a standard concrete project can be enhanced and indeed improved with the use of color and texture. This beautiful patio will be enjoyed for many years with very little maintenance. Texture mats, True Color Hardener, Iron-Ox Integral Color, Boss Gloss, Concrete Sealer, and True Color Release are part of the Bonway of decorating concrete. The Bonway techniques and products allow contractors to add greater profits to almost any concrete job. In addition to the Bonway decorative concrete products, Bond Tool Company manufactures over 3,000 other products for the building trades in both domestic and international markets. Learn more about Bond Tool Company products and maximize profits on your next project. Call 1-800-444-7060 today.